There we go. We are live.
Okay, here we go. Dom DeMarco, 9785 West Charleston, bringing you today's show. Proline TV, Jim Feist, Andy Isco in Vegas. We're both in Vegas. It's not sunny. I know that's very interesting to everybody, but when you look at the weather around the country, tornadoes, wind, rain, floods, knock on wood, Andy, we don't have any of that. And
Just to
I've
give
been,
people an idea of what you're saying, as I'm looking at my phone here with the weather report, and as you were beginning to speak, the temperature just changed from 99 to 100 degrees at 10 a.m. in the morning.
oh boy, but it's not sunny in 100. It's
No,
humid in 100, which is so unusual for us to get this kind of humidity. We get no rain. It's monsoon season, but we have no rain. Crazy.
this is
We've
as
been
late
taking a
as I
little.
can. This is as late as I can ever remember in a summer. And I've been here. You've been here longer. I've been here since '91. This is as late as I can recall going in the summer where we haven't even had a thunderstorm.
Right, exactly. I've been on a little bit of a break. It's been more of a medical tests and stuff, and it's pretty good positive stuff I've gotten back. Andy, we haven't
That's
done
great.
this show in a couple of weeks, although the
Friday.
we've done the Friday show, the playbook show. Mark Lawrence will be back in a couple of weeks for that. This is the Dom DeMarco sponsored show. We will be back at Dom DeMarco's in about I'm going to say 6 weeks, maybe 5 weeks. I can't remember exactly, but that'll be fun. A lot of people are asking when we're coming back. Well, we're not going to come back before football, and that's simple. It's
It's just a
now,
question of whether you come back during preseason football, which is about a month from now. It's probably, I think, the second or third week of the 3 week preseason, or the first week of the regular season, which is late this year because Labor Day is late this year. So it's really the second week of September that
that's right.
football begins.
Well, we do have college football,
Yeah,
and
August
and
29th, first set of 8 games.
we will be back. It's a limited schedule, so we'll probably come back for the first week of pros. Um, the
Well,
normally,
the first week of college football is now the biggest week before the first week of pros, where they have like 50 games. August 29th is that first. They used to call it the kickoff classic when they would have one game on a Saturday. Now they have eight, as opposed to what they have. In other words, August 29th is those eight isolated games. Then it would be 29th, September 5th, that weekend, which is the weekend preceding Labor Day, which I believe is on the 7th. That's the first full week of college football with 50 games, whatever, something like that, and more when you include the FBS versus FCS games. So that's really the first full week. Although, for example, for the contest here in Vegas, there's Station Casinos runs a last man standing point spread type contest, one college and one pro, and and I believe that they start with week one of the NFL. So they do not do that first college week. But the Westgate, which has a separate college contest, I believe does do the first week, which is the week in which there is no pro football before week one of the regular season of pro football.
Andy, Westgate was sold, was it not?
It was a partnership that's been entered into between just the sports book of Westgate, the Superbook, which is now being controlled, or will be at the end of this month, at the end of July, which I guess is next week, by the Caesars sports operation. For all practical, I mean, I go over there because I sign people up for proxying for the Westgate contest. Westgate is still going to administer those contests this year, but I think it's effective July 28th, which would be a week from today, or maybe it's 28th or 29th, that Caesar's numbers will be the ones that are used at the Westgate. The Westgate will sort of like a satellite book for Caesars. Okay, Caesars also owns William Hill, for example, which has a lot of operations around town where they rent space out of other casinos that don't have their own separate sports book, and they run a William Hill sports book. But as I understand it, the Westgate will operate the Super Contest at least through this year. So I'll be going to Westgate. People will be able to bet at Westgate. I think they'll. For people who have wagering accounts at Westgate, they will be transferred over to Caesars. So the folks here in Vegas or elsewhere, well, basically in Vegas here because of the Superbook, will have to download on their phones the Caesars app, and they'll be sending out information on that in a week or so as the transition happens. But it's not it's basically a partnership, and it's now going to be known as the Westgate Superbook powered by Caesars Sports.
Are they doing the same?
By the way, I was just going to mention that when I went over there, they do not have any sheets other than the basic simple future sheets, because as of next week, all the bets that will be made at the Westgate will be administered by Caesars using their numbers. So, for example, I would go over there to find out the games of the year. I've not seen the games of the year, which usually come out in early July. I've not seen the 18-week schedule, which is something that I like to use as a planning tool, because you won't be able to bet those numbers at Westgate after next week. So I don't know if Caesars itself will be doing it and distributing through Westgate as one of their satellites or not. But those are the changes. It's basically a partnership, but it's effectively going to be run by Caesars.
Two questions. Is the Westgate going to have the same contest they had last year?
Yes.
Okay. Question number two. The Fertittas, who are a very successful family here in Las Vegas, and they opened in 1976 with Bingo Palace, I believe.
Yep. It's now Palace Station.
And then it turned to Palace Station, and they are buying up casinos right and left. Obviously, right. They've been extremely successful, and hats off to them because they've done a tremendous job. How does that change the overall landscape when you have one big group owning all these casinos? Now, I'm not talking just sports books. I'm talking about entire casinos.
Well, I think the main significance is actually related to the sports books, because that means that's one or two less entities having independent books or books that you could choose from. So, for example, right now you've got the Caesars William Hill conglomerate sportsbook, and you've got the Westgate sportsbook. Well, as of next week, when that partnership begins between Westgate and Caesars, that's one less betting option that the people here in Las Vegas, and if they are spread out across the nation in other states with legalized sports betting, that's one less sports book that you have available. I remember it was a number of years ago when William Hill came in. I believe they ended up buying, Leroy's, Calneva, and Lucky's, I think. And those were three smaller books, but they also operated out of other casinos that didn't have sports book, and they had their own unique numbers. So when William Hill came in and bought up those three, let's call it independent satellite operations, Lucky's, Leroy's, and Calneva, those were three independent betting operations that were now merged into William Hill. So instead of have four different operations, including William Hill, you now have just one. So obviously, as we've learned over the years, the more options you have, the better it is for the bettor, because they can shop. Well, now there are fewer aisles in the grocery store.
Well, it used to be with other corporations and stuff around the country, people would be afraid of having, like, for one big company or person own many different news agencies.
Yeah.
Is that a problem here when now we're cutting off a lot of competition? Now, I have nothing against the Fertittas. I think they've done a fantastic job with their product. And some of the other casinos in town have really put a black eye on the industry with the increased
resort fees and
parking fees and raised prices and the less services and stuff. And I think they've I think in some ways they've hurt the city. But I don't think that the Fertittas hotels and casinos have done that. I think they've stayed pretty well local to the old school thinking.
Yeah. Well, like South Point, with Michael Gaughan. He's probably the last of the old time. It was Father Jackie, who I guess passed away just a few years ago in his 90s, was an old time like the old Horseshoe with the Binions. They catered to faces, not to player card numbers.
Right down the street here is the Red Rock.
Yep.
They don't charge for parking.
I don't believe any of the station places do.
I don't know if they have resort fees or not. I doubt it because I don't stay there, but
Yeah.
I don't know that. Andy,
Oh, by the way, all the way I'll say about the resort fees is just another way of raising room prices without causing it a room rate increase. So you could say, we still have the same rates we had 10 years ago. Yeah, but your resort fees have come up from $15 a night to $55 a night. That's a $40 increase. If you're a consumer, if you're a tourist, you don't care where the extra fees are. You call them what you want. I'm paying more. That's part of my room rate. Okay, but I've always felt charging people for parking, whether it be tourists or locals, although tourists probably don't mind all that much because they like having a car. I still don't like the concept when it's, especially for locals. Basically, you're telling when you charge for parking, you basically are telling me, oh, so now I have to pay for the privilege to lose money. That's basically what it is.
I went to the Cosmopolitan the other day and last week actually had dinner. And they said, you're local. When you come out, just present your driver's license and you won't have to pay.
Yeah, exactly. That's cool. At the restaurant. That's at the restaurant, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what they should do, because those are the people who lose Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, midweek, when they're basically, unless there's conventions, no tourists in town. It's the restaurants and the other shops in these major strip casinos that are losing out because people, why as a local would you did it last week, but why would I as a local go to a strip restaurant and pay $20 for parking to have a meal at a restaurant when I don't intend to gamble? I just want to have a nice dinner, as opposed to going to a local place and having often just as good a dinner without paying for parking. So it's the businesses that rent space in these casinos that really hurt by the parking fees, because then again, if they have to reimburse the parking fee, that comes off of their bottom line.
And Andy, you mentioned $20. When this was going on 6-8 months ago, in some places still, those parking fees were like $40, $50, $60, $70.
Depending upon the length of your stay.
You could be in the hotel for an hour and have to pay $70 to park your car, and that was horrendous. And I think they really hurt the industry by doing those things.
I think sportsbooks are hurt by that as well, because most people now bet on the app. So they're still betting with them, but they're not coming in because of the parking fee. So they're not selling the drinks.
They're not selling the drinks. They're not selling the food. I mean, it's terrible. I don't know who did this stuff, but maybe it was the young suits coming out of college.
I was just going to say, it's the MBAs who know numbers. They don't know casinos. They don't know the entertainment business.
And they don't know people.
Yeah.
They don't know people. I'd like to mention this. Normally, June, July is a real dead time for sports betting. All what you have is baseball. Now, there's some changes. We just had the World Cup. And because it was held in the United States, Canada, and Mexico, it just took over. It was incredible, successful. Hats off to Spain for that tremendous, unbelievable. They went
7 shutouts in their 8 matches.
Unbelievable. I don't know I don't know the sport, never played the sport, but however they're playing defense, everybody should copy it. I mean, it's incredible what they did on defense. We also have this explosion in the WNBA, and I don't know if everybody's aware of this, but this league is exploding.
Yeah,
I mean, they're having expansions. I think they've expanded 2 teams this year. One team or 2 teams last year, but they're doing really well. And so now we have baseball and we got WNBA. We've got Canadian hockey. We had this year, and we won't have it again for 4 years.
A lot more popularity aside from the World Cup. Just the regular European leagues of soccer betting has become a huge growth property as far as sports books are concerned over the last 2 to 4 years.
I wasn't really aware of that.
But you know Bruce Marshall from Gold Sheet Days and all that.
Yes,
he's been following international soccer for years and years and years. Very good at handicapping it, and he's very well aware. And wagering sites are offering soccer to the U.S. market because it is popular, and because of the fact that it's being played 8 to 10 hours later because of the time difference between Europe and the U.S. It offers for early morning betting in many cases here in the U.S. Whether you're on the East Coast or the West Coast, you can watch the Premier League while you're having your Sunday coffee.
We're bouncing around here a little bit because that's what we got so many sports to talk about. Hats off to was it Ryan Fox?
Yes,
who was about
39 years old.
39 years old. He's about 200 to 1 to win that thing, and he just came roaring back the back nine. And I mean, it looked like he was fearless, but he did admit that his hands were shaking so much he had to rush that putt because he might have fallen over. But unbelievable how he.
I think that was amazing about the British Open. They call it the Open. Us old timers still call it the British Open because we have our own Open here in the U.S. But that's no big deal. But the par on that course was 70. 3 rounds by 3 different golfers, one each, shot 62s in that tournament, including Ryan Fox and Sam Burns, who also was in the lead. In fact, he was at -10 earlier. He had a 2-shot lead earlier in the 4th round. So that was I think the most remarkable statistic is that 3 golfers shot, I believe it's a course record 62. It's 8 under par. Pretty amazing. And that's because I think probably for the first time in years we didn't have any weather issues with the Open.
I was just going to say that I've never seen anything in Europe where they didn't have weather problems, and they did not. But that was amazing. It was good TV. What else do we have?
Oh, by the way, let me add something about the World Cup because I think about this, and we're talking about Lionel Messi. He's 39 years old, running up and down the field. He played all 120 minutes of that game. 39 years old. I think that's a feat. I don't know. I just did some research. I said the oldest person to participate in a World Cup soccer game, I think, was an Egyptian goalie who was 43 years old. Well, I mean, it's nice, but a goalie does not have the exertion of energy to run up and down the field. Yes, he has to make some very hard saves at times, and that was another thing. The Argentine goalie is setting a record with 11 saves. And the other amazing fact was in the first, I think, 90 minutes of regulation play, Argentina did not have a shot on goal. That's how good the Spain's defense was. I sort of am a cursory follower of soccer, usually during World Cup. I thoroughly enjoyed this tournament.
Well, I did too, and I never follow it. It's not usually in the United States, and I don't understand the sport. I still don't understand offsides and red cards and yellow cards, but I did the amazing athleticism of these players. I mean, my God, there's not an ounce of fat on the whole league. I mean, nowhere.
And they can head the ball off their heads, and it goes 40 yards.
Yeah, the ball is not soft. It hurts.
No. And it's reversing direction when you hit it in most instances.
It's incredible. It was amazing. I'm glad I watched it. I had some winners the last couple of days, which was nice. I had the under in the last game, which was not very nice. But we now have. Let's go to our main sport in the United States, which is baseball. And we have
main sport right now, yes.
Yeah, right now. We got a month before we get to football.
The real main sport. You and I remember the days when baseball was the national pastime for over half a century, and football exploded.
Keep in mind,
the 60s and 70s.
We have a World Series in baseball. We have an NBA championship. We have a Super Bowl, but none of them are world.
Yeah.
In FIFA, the World Cup, it is a world championship because I think we had 48 countries in that, and they're thinking about expanding it.
Thinking of going to 64, which is a beautiful number for a large tournament. It just works out, 64, 32, 16, 8, 4, and 2 for the championship.
True.
Perfect.
We have a trade deadline in baseball coming up. Andy, I know you're on top of this. I don't know if you want to talk about who should do what and who shouldn't do what, but we got a lot of teams that are in contention because, I mean, other than the Dodgers and their ridiculous lead they have, and until baseball puts in some kind of cap, they're probably going to have this ridiculous lead every year. Uh, they just have unlimited money to spend, and there's no cap.
Don't mind paying, don't mind paying the luxury tax or whatever, or forfeiting international picks or whatever penalties baseball tries to expand. Now, the players obviously are against a salary cap, and I can understand that. What I would like to see, however, and they don't need to have a salary cap, but if they do implement a salary cap, they should implement a salary floor. Teams have to spend at least X amount on salaries in any given year. And forget the deferrals. What they actually have to pay out in a given year should be a floor. That might make it a little bit more amenable to the players' union, although I don't think the players' union would ever seriously consider, although the other sports have done it. And I think that explains a lot of the success in the Patriots dynasty. But you take a look at the number of teams over the last 10 years, the different number of teams that have made the playoffs and made it into the Super Bowl. And that, I think, has a lot to do with the fact that there is a salary cap and a penalty for exceeding it. You have to budget it at the same time. And a lot of it has to do, and again, with the popularity of football, those huge multi-billion-dollar contracts that pay so much to the league that gets distributed to the teams. So I'd like to see something like that in baseball, where the teams have to at least pay a minimum amount of salary to put in a competitive product, at least a potentially competitive product.
So we will talk about what teams did what in the trade deadline when it comes and goes, and then we'll talk about it. But Andy, what's the likelihood of a strike, and when will that happen, if it happens?
It's a very interesting that you bring that up today, because I believe it was yesterday Major League Baseball announced its schedule for 2027. So I think that's sort of like trying to say, maybe we can reach an agreement where we've got this schedule all set. Teams are able to make their travel arrangements, hotel arrangements, whatever. They know where they're playing, in the middle of June next year. I don't know exactly who it is or when it is, but I think that our Vegas, the Aviators field, will host a pair of Major League Series, the future home of the Athletics, who won't be playing there. They'll be playing in their own stadium on Trop in the Strip. But I think this year, I think it may have been Colorado and Milwaukee who came into Las Vegas Ballpark, which is the minor league park. So I think they're trying to maybe put a little publicity out there that we're going to have we're not going to have a strike. We're going to have a completion through, or we're going to settle it rather quickly. I'd like to think they can. There's just so much money involved. I've always been on the side of the players, but that goes back many, many years when they had absolutely no power. In fact, you and I were following baseball before there was a players' union, and Marvin Miller came along. And ultimately,
I remember back to Mickey Mantle when they cut his salary because he didn't hit. It was ridiculous. Ridiculous stuff.
The saying was, I think it was with Ralph Kiner in the early 50s, who played for a really bad Pittsburgh Pirates team and always led the league in home runs. And he ran in one year with the general manager, said, I hit 52 home runs or whatever it was last year. I deserve a little bit of a raise. And the general manager said, Ralph, understand this. We could have finished last without you and the 52 home runs. that was the attitude of baseball ownership and management back then. Okay. So the players have come a long way, but I think at some point, the owners make a lot of money, but a lot of that money comes when they get rid of the team. The value of the franchise goes up. A lot of them do have operating losses from time to time because of the huge amounts that they pay out. Remember, there's more than just paying salaries. You got ballpark fees. You got other fees that come into play as far as what they're responsible for. So I can understand to a point that there's so much money to go around that baseball players and owners, and I'm not going to take sides either way, just work it out. There's no excuse for not coming to some sort of agreement. It doesn't have to be a lose-lose situation. It can be a win-win situation where you get a lot of what you want and the other side gets a lot of what it wants. It doesn't have to be a we win, you lose situation, which sometimes is the goal of some negotiations.
Okay. I agree with you. Is there anything about, we watched we mentioned Ryan Fox winning. That was the last major of the year,
Yeah.
which it's just kind of crazy. It's only July. You'd think.
Well, they did that, I think, to have sequential events beginning with, I think it was the Players Tournament in March, the Masters in April, the PGA in May, the U.S. Open in June, and the Open, the British Open, in July. It used to be the PGA Championship would be the final major that was played in August, and they moved that back to May to be able to have those 4 consecutive months of the actual majors, and then the 5th major, which a lot of people consider the Players Championship to be, getting that underway in March. So I think that they did it for that reason. Now they do have the FedEx tournament at the end of the year, where I think it's the top 60 or the top 30 start, and they narrow the field down over 4 weeks in September to wind the season. That's sort of like that's golf's, or the PGA organization's World Series, if you will. And that also, in a sense, is a World Series because of the huge percentage of foreign players, or foreign-born players, who now live or play most of their golf seasons living in the United States.
Andy, we have not touched on this much. The WNBA. There's no games today. Tomorrow, there's a boatload of them.
Yeah.
12 teams play tomorrow.
Well, they're coming to the All-Star break, aren't they?
Yeah, you're right. There's 12 games on. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that should be interesting.
One thing, by the way, about the NBA from a betting perspective,
WNBA.
I'm sorry, the WNBA from a betting perspective, is that unfortunately a lot of their games are played in the daytime, and that means it's a little bit more difficult. We talked about, you can bet like European soccer in the daytime. The WNBA needs more exposure, and I think that, and the NBA has been funding the league and supporting the league for almost 30 years now. That I guess they're looking for, and there's a loyal WNBA following, but I think it's got to be difficult, and sometimes even over the summer, because a lot of the fans work day jobs, and how do they get to be a lot of attendance during these games that start at, let's say, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern on a Wednesday?
Tomorrow there's 2 games that start early and 4 games that start late. So I mean, the ratio is still mostly night.
Yeah.
But we do get some daytime stuff. But their attendance is really high. And
there's a very loyal following that continues to grow.
Yeah. So
despite some of the crazy decisions or non-decisions by the WNBA commissioner.
Oh, the commissioner is horrible. I mean, the commissioner leads the pack for me for the worst.
I think Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, had to jump in and convince the WNBA commissioner how to handle that Caitlin Clark mugging incident.
Right. That I'll never understand why the league does that, but that's insane. But
she's made every player's salary increase by a significant amount by the publicity that she has attracted to the WNBA league.
They're making more money from endorsements.
Yeah.
They're flying private. Everything is better for them,
and a lot of it has to do with Caitlin Clark.
I don't know if it's a racial thing or they're jealous of her. I have no idea what the hell.
I think it's the latter. I think it's jealousy that that she's getting so much attention, and yet the other players are benefiting. A lot of people, there are some people who will bring up racism anytime something like that happens, and there's probably some truth to that. But I think in this case, I think it's just natural human jealousy as to, hey, I'm doing extremely well, whether I'm in the game, playing the game white or black, and I'm not getting the kind of attention that she's getting, even though, let's say, my stats are as good, if not better, in many instances.
Oh,
but at the same time, my salary is 3 times what it would have been if she weren't in the league.
Right. There are definitely better players than Caitlin, in the league. There's some amazing
Because look
basketball
at what we
players
have on
in
the
this league.
Aces.
Oh, the Aces, and there's even on the I can't think of the girl's name. Even on the Indiana Fever, which is Caitlin's
Oh, yeah,
team,
yeah.
there's one player there that's absolutely incredible.
I'm trying to recall who it is, but I can't.
Mitchell, maybe, or something like that. But this throughout the league. Caitlin's very good, of course. I mean, she had a 40 bucket the other night, but it doesn't make sense. But in any case, I'm a fan of the WNBA. I think it's a very competitive
Kelsey Mitchell
league.
is who you're thinking of.
I
Kelsey
like
Mitchell.
it a lot. I bet it a lot. I do well betting it. I love watching it. We do get a full effort every game from these players.
And the fundamentals are excellent.
We don't get that in the NBA because of that. Well, their sleepy time. They have to take their days off. So, but in any case.
By the way, let me ask you, what do you think physically is the most grueling of the major sports to play?
Well, it depends on whether you're talking cardio or physical.
Well, both, but physical. Requires the greatest overall physical exertion from start to finish.
I'm going to say soccer.
Yeah, that's endurance.
Well,
my thought was going to be the NBA.
They also get hit a lot with no protection. So
that is a problem that I find. I think that they are too aggressive in calling fouls in soccer. Sometimes you trip over a guy because you're moving and his leg just happens to be going for the same ball that you're going for, and they call that a foul. I mean, there's going to be incidental contact or unavoidable contact. It's kind of like roughing the passer. You're in midair. You can't stop when the guy runs into you to complete a pass when he's going forward and you're going towards him.
Well, if we take soccer out of the picture, football has too much rest time between plays for me to go there.
Well, not only that, between units, defense can be off the field for 7-8 minutes. Aside from the 30 seconds between plays. Or 40
True.
seconds between plays, yeah.
I would have to say in NBA basketball.
Yeah. The pounding that your knees take going up and down, and the physicality. The court has not changed since 1946 or 47 when the NBA began. But the players' probably average height between over the last 80 years, I'm going to say probably, and this may be on the short side, 4 to 6 inches on average. And probably
how tall?
20 to 40 pounds.
Let's see. How tall? Allen Iverson was how tall?
Small, 6'2", 6'3".
Calvin Murphy was how tall?
Calvin Murphy, I believe, was 5'11".
And how about
Muggsy Bogues?
How about Calvin Murphy, one. Bob Cousy.
Bob Cousy. He might have been a bit over 6 foot.
You think?
Still is. He's still going strong at 90 something.
Really? I didn't know that.
As far as I know.
The two-hand set shot.
Yes.
An NBA is a very rough sport, and maybe that's why they need more rest. But back in the day when Magic played and Bird played and MJ played, nobody took any rest. They all played every minute of every game. They didn't want to come out. Maybe, and there was a period in NBA where they were real physical. Yeah, real physical. I mean,
I think the Detroit Pistons started that in the mid to late 80s.
Yeah, the scores were like 80 to 60. Yeah, it was like it was a way different sport. It was very physical.
First team to 95 almost always won. Something along those lines. Yeah.
So probably, I think we agree. NBA basketball is probably the most physical. Unless you want to throw in soccer, but soccer is different. But I would say NBA.
Yeah, no, that's what I agree. The pounding, that your knees take up and down the court for, let's say, 36 out of the 48 minutes, and the physical play, the fact that you are running back and forth, changing direction, and you can sometimes go a good 4 to 6 minutes. That's rare, but 4 to 6 minutes without a stoppage in play for out of bounds fouls, things like that.
We can take another question. what would be the percentage of fat on each player in each sport? Which had
Yeah.
soccer? It would have to be soccer. You see, I mean,
Yes.
they never stop moving.
No, they're going up and down the field. Sometimes not at full speed, but close enough. Because there's a lot of passing in there that is wide open, and you don't see as aggressive covering because see that one. I know that the issue that a lot of Americans, U.S. I guess especially I won't throw America because you got Canada and Mexico and then South America, but in the U.S. is we are used to sports with scoring. And that has long been the concern about soccer. It takes nothing away from the beauty of the game because defense is just as enjoyable, but we're so accustomed to, it's kind of like bettors. They like the favorite and they like the over. They like to see action and they like to see, the team more capable of providing that action to do well, which would be the favorites. But I think one of the things that has not changed over the years, and the World Cup started in 1930, and soccer's been playing for centuries before that, is the field dimensions have not changed, but the agility, speed of the players has. So maybe part of the reason there's not that much scoring is that there are 11 players. Well, let's say take out the goalie, 10 players on each side covering the same amount of territory that they covered in the 1600s. I believe, unless there have been some changes in the field size, and that if they were to cut down the number of players, you would see more opportunities for scoring because there'd be fewer players to cover the same amount of territory. And I mean, you in fact, take a look at the NHL when they go the 4-on-4 for the 5-minute overtime as opposed to the 5-on-5. And you see a lot of these hockey games not getting to the shootout stage because somebody scores in the 4-on-4. Now, it's a lot different 4-on-4 versus, let's say, going to 8-on-8 instead of 10-on-10. But I think that that's one of the reasons why why we don't have as much scoring, because the field has remained the same, but the caliber, size, speed, physicality of athlete has grown tremendously, and they're able to cover more ground and therefore prevent more opportunities. Well, look, we saw Argentina go those 90 minutes without a shot on goal. I'm sure if you had 8-on-8, they would have gotten at least a half dozen.
The funny thing about soccer is most of our high schools, I shouldn't say most, a lot of our high schools, I don't know what the numbers are, play soccer. They have soccer teams.
Yeah.
And there's hardly any investment in equipment. You just need a pair of running shoes and you don't have any equipment. You put a pair of shorts on and a shirt, and you're done.
A ball and two nets.
That's it.
Supported by beams, or metal.
I know quite a few people that actually played soccer in high school, and of course they moved on to college and never played again. So that's interesting.
It's interesting because I think you're right. I think we get more publicity from college lacrosse than we do college soccer. Now, that's just an impression, but I'm just recalling how often these sports are covered.
Is there anything, we'll close on this, is there anything in the NFL and here's a question. If you took the top 4 teams in your mind, who the best 4 teams are in the NFL, total, both conferences, and the worst 4 teams, and you can think about this over the week, so we talk next week. Which group would cover the spread more?
I think I would have my answer, but I'm going to take a look just to check it out to see how close I am. I thought you were going in a similar direction. I thought you were going to say, take the top 4 and the bottom 4. Which will be the higher number? The number of wins by the bottom 4 or the number of losses by the top 4?
I mean, pretty much along those lines. It's kind of similar the same question, except I went with the ATS.
Yeah. My thought would be that it might be the bottom 4 because they're going to continue to get inflated numbers that they will eventually cover, as opposed to the top 4 where they're going to get inflated numbers where they're laying 8 and win by 6.
I totally agree. I would say the underdog with the bottom teams are going to be, that we mentioned, they're going to be the dog.
Right.
and the public likes betting the favorite. So
Correct.
in that case, and they're not necessarily playing each other, but
Right.
overall, the underdog will do better against the spread than the favorite. And I think if we went back 10 years and looked at that, and I don't have those stats, maybe we'll have to talk to Mark Lawrence. He
Oh,
has stats.
I've got them. I can easily
Oh,
get
you
them.
got
I
them?
have
Okay.
my data goes back 40 years, 35, 40 years. Yeah.
Okay, so we can look at that and talk about that next week because I find that very interesting.
I'm just going to throw a guess out here, and it's in long on what you said. Over the course of a season, I would say historically, if I take those 10 years, I could go season by season and then collective. I would say underdogs cover 52 to 53%, and favorites would be the reverse, 47 to 48%.
I I really want to know what the numbers are. That's going to be interesting, but
Yeah.
I agree with you. That's probably the case.
It might
And
be closer to 50-50, but I think a 2 to 3 point spread either way for favorites and dogs is reasonable because because nobody blindly plays all favorites or all dogs. Now it takes what 51.3% to show a profit. I think that's the number if I remember, or 52.3, whatever it is. Just remember it.
52.38%.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I would say that nobody is going to blindly play all favorites and hit that 52.8% that you mentioned, okay? Or blindly underdogs play that and blindly play favorites where it's going to be the 47.2% because it's going to vary week to week. There are some weeks, every week on here, bookies got killed, all the favorites won. Yeah, they'll get it back next week when the underdogs cover.
That's
They
right.
usually do.
I want everybody to remember this is sponsored by Dom DeMarco's restaurant. That's 9785 West Charleston here in Las
By the way,
Vegas.
more than just pizza. Great Italian dishes up and down the menu.
Including desserts, which I don't eat too
yes.
much of desserts because I don't eat that much sugar, but I've seen it. I've tasted a couple dishes. Amazing. I love the blackened salmon. I love the soup, stracciatella soup. I love the pizzas. They have both deep dish and they have skin, the slim, the New York style. They have so much. The salad, the Mediterranean salad is incredible. It's great. It's a great spot. If you're in Vegas,
it's so great that it attracted a visit from a sitting U.S. president who knows something about pizza because he lived a good part of his life in Chicago.
He's not the sitting president
No,
now.
he was. No, when he was sitting president.
Yes.
I think that was when he was running in his second term. I think it was. Al would remember. I believe it was in 2016, which would have been his second. 2012. I'm sorry, 2012.
It's a great shop.
Yeah.
We will be back there for our live shows sometime at the end of August or the first week in September. And Andy, you've helped me hold this together through the summer. I'd like you to come on board there. I know the problem with you is you're so damn busy.
I live like 60 miles away. No, it's not that bad.
Well,
Dom DeMarco's is in the ever-growing northwestern part of the city, and I'm in the overgrown southeastern part.
If you go from where I live to where Andy lives, it's probably 40 miles.
Not far off.
Yeah.
Not far off, yeah.
People don't realize how big this city is. I mean, I came here in 1970 and we only had 100,000 people.
Yeah.
And we're at, I guess, around 3 million.
I've always defined a local as someone who has lived in a place where the population has at least doubled. Obviously, it's more than that for you. For me, when I moved in 91, I want to say the population might have been about 600,000. And it probably got up to 1.2 million by the mid-90s. That's how fast it was growing. I remember hearing all the commercials as I was driving up from Kingman about Vegas, and they were getting 5,000 new residents a month.
Whoa.
60,000 they were getting, at least at that time.
Oh, it's hard to manage that kind of growth, but we've done it. I love living here. I've been actually in January. It will be 57 years I've been here.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a long time.
I was gonna describe the different places. I was trying to look to find a humorous way to describe
Andy,
them.
that's longer than you've been alive.
Well, if my name were Jack Benny and I were permanently 39, I would say yes. But I'm not. I was trying to think of a clever way of being not too obnoxious, describing where you live and I live. You live in communities where there are gates. I live in communities where there are bars. And that can be taken two ways.
Okay, I got you. I got you. That's kind of fun, humorous.
You mentioned Red Rock. We have Sunset Station, which I think just celebrated its 30th anniversary. Within walking distance, almost pretty much. Like
okay.
Mile and a half away, and it's really great. They cater to locals, and they do exactly what they say, and I give them a lot of credit because they do not charge for parking. I don't know about the resort fees.
Are you close to South Point?
No. South Point is my favorite prime rib place is in South Point. I can say that. And one of your favorite restaurants, probably Michael's, is in South Point.
Oh, it's a great restaurant.
It really is. The thing I really love about it are those high back chairs that makes you feel like you're in a separate room because nobody around you can hear anything.
That's true.
You really have private tables.
Yeah. They also make you feel like a midget when you sit in them.
Yeah. And they're always there asking if you need
you.
Yeah, it's about 25 minutes away. In fact, I'm going next week for my birthday, being taken out by a couple of friends next Wednesday for my birthday. We're going to the prime rib place over at South Point.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome, man. Yeah. Happy birthday.
Well, thank you. It'll be a week from tomorrow. Yeah.
Signing off from Don DeMarcos and Andy Iskoe. Thank you, Andy. Again, I really appreciate your help.
Thanks for our viewers and listeners.
We're going to talk to you on Friday. We do the playbook, and next Tuesday we will do another Dom DeMarco show.
And by the way, let me throw a plug in just for Mark Lawrence.
Oh, that's
the best magazine. His playbook preview. Anything you want to know, information-wise, not opinion-wise. There are other publications that offer opinions and looks. But if you're looking for point spread information, favorable spots, and it covers all 138 FBS college teams, because there are two new ones, Sacramento State and North Dakota State, and all 32 NFL teams. Information, they give you point spreads and results going back 10 years and a lot of really good information that is available here in Vegas or online by the Gamblers Book Club or a couple of the major booksellers around.
Andy, I believe for the first time or the second time that book is available to download.
Yes, yeah, and because there are fewer and fewer of us old fogies around who love using the physical books, because I've been doing that forever. I love it that way. I keep track of things by pen before transferring to the computer. But then, the Gen Xers, the Gen Yers, the Gen Zers, they grew up in a time where they didn't have as much physical contact with books, even in grammar school. Well, maybe grammar school they did. But once you got into junior high or high school, everything was on computers or on tablets. And they are more used to the digital format, which is still good. I have both the book in PDF and the digital format. And I like the physical thing because, okay, I'm looking through, whether it be a book or whether it be this magazine, I'm looking at something, let's say I'm looking at Ohio State's schedule and, I want to check something about the Illinois schedule that plays into this. It's easy for me to flip back through physical pages and turn right to Illinois as opposed to scrolling backwards the 35 or 40 pages that it might take. But the young kids, they can do that in a split second. I can do it in a split hour.
Okay. We'll talk to you, Andy. Thank you very much.
Thanks, folks.
Thanks, folks. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Okay.